Hi, Dave Littman, Truth in IT, joined today by Christophe Bertrand. Christophe is VP of Product Marketing with Arcserve. Christophe, welcome.
Hello, Dave. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Glad to have you back, Christophe. You guys have some big news, so tell us about the new announcement.
Well, we have a new capability in our Arcserve UDP Cloud Direct offering, which is the ability to now get to what we call disaster avoidance with a 15-minute RPO, that's recovery point objective, direct to cloud, and nobody else can do this.
Fabulous, fabulous. So, it's a bit implicit in your answer of why this matters, but, I guess to help us understand a little bit about what your customers have told you and why you think this really disrupts the market.
Well, so a few things. Our direct-to-cloud offering allows us to literally protect systems, virtual machines, applications, you name it, direct to our Arcserve cloud. And the benefit is that you don't need any equipment on site when you use this capability. It's a very nice complement to the rest of our portfolio that way. But, the little secret or dirty little secret that a lot of disaster recovery as a service vendors would not tell a lot of their customers is that, hey, look, you can get great recovery time objective, meaning, hey, we can spin up that VM in our cloud in a matter of minutes. And sure, that's great. Everybody can do that. But what about how old or current the data is, right? You want to be relevant when you get back on your feet. You want to have something in your application that is not a day old. Look, it's like day old sushi. Who wants it? You want fresh data, right? So what we can do is we can provide that capability of only having a 15-minute type of delay in terms of the data currency, and it really gives you, from the perspective of an IT disaster, this capability of almost avoiding the disaster, which is what we call a disaster avoidance. And the best way I can put this is that, and that's one of our customers who told us that because they've been playing with the product, and they told us, look, if I can literally get back on my feet in 5 minutes and not have to worry about data being too old and recover very quickly and be almost up to date, it's almost as though it was a glitch, and my end users will be okay with that. So for our mid-market customers, that's totally acceptable. And but that's just the beginning. We're going to keep working on more and more availability, better RPOs moving forward, but still 15-minute direct to cloud, no equipment needed, no appliance, no gateway. Find somebody else. Let me know who they are.
All right. So, Christophe, how do you feel, you mentioned it a little bit earlier, that it fits in with the Arcserve existing portfolio of products?
Yes, it does. And again, we announced this capability about 6 months ago, and we said, hey, the next year we'll have close to zero data loss, which is what 15-minute RPO gives you. And in less than 6 months, we executed, and that's integrating the technology of UDP with the acquisition from Zeta, which again happened a few months ago, middle of last year. So you can see how quickly we've been integrating the capabilities and the technologies. And in many ways, this complements our on-premise and cloud hybrid offering. But there's more. Stay tuned. In the next few months, we're going to deliver even more capabilities for the cloud, more capabilities around hybrid infrastructure that will essentially balance and allow you to really provide a continuum of data protection, whether you want to go direct to cloud, you want to go on premise first, and manage all of that in a very easy way with a very advanced and updated console. So there's lots coming up. I can't tell you too much right now, but right now our focus is to really help our customers leverage this direct to cloud capability with very low RPO.
Okay, Christophe, sounds great. With a lot of functionality comes a lot of complexity. So, it sounds great, easy, but how easy is it really to use?
Well, that's a great question. As a matter of fact, if you know how to use a browser, you pretty much know how to use Arcserve UDP Cloud Direct. And I will tell you that it was born in the cloud. It was designed to be a cloud disaster recovery solution, and it leverages a very easy-to-use console that we're going to make better in the future, even better in the future if that's possible. But the best thing I can do, probably I can't, but my friend Keith here can probably show you a demo of the product.
That sounds great. All right, so stand by. Let's bring Keith on. Keith, are you there?
I'm here.
All right. Hey,
Hello.
Keith. Hey, welcome.
How's it going,
Welcome.
David?
It's
Hey,
going
Thank
Keith.
you.
well.
Thank you.
So Keith Summers is Senior Product Manager with Arcserve. And Keith, we want you to give us a bit of a tour and show us how easy the application is to use.
Absolutely. This is our management portal, our hosted management portal. So you can access this portal from, if you have access to to the internet and an internet browser, you can manage this solution. So for ease of use, we definitely wanted to hit on all points related to ease of use. This is our management portal. We have also support Google two-factor authentication. So if you needed additional security to log into the management portal, you could do that as well. So here I'll log in with my credentials. We have a single user view as well as a managed service provider view. This is the managed service provider view. And so you can see that I can manage multiple customers under one user account. So here I have my customers listed here. I get a summary of the total number of customers, total number of systems, and their usage capacity. If I wanted to look at a particular customer, I go click on that customer. If I see that this customer has 14 systems that are being protected. And to your question about the platform support, we do support Windows, we support Linux, we support Mac, physical as well as virtual. And so if I take a look at these systems here, you'll be able to see just what I said. Here, this lists the systems for that particular customer. As you can see, we have Windows, we also have Linux. I don't have any Macs here, but we also support Macs, as well as virtual machines. So we support VMware as well as Hyper-V. So that's our agent-based protection. So Cloud Direct is our cloud-based backup and disaster recovery solution that we definitely wanted to make sure that it was easy to use as possible. So here I have some systems that are agent-based protected. So I can log in. For these agent-based protection, we deploy the agent directly to the systems. I log in, I specify my backup task. Here I have a couple backup tasks. You can have multiple backup tasks for each system. You can specify your schedule, days of the week. Now for our backup as a service, the backups can be done as often as every 24 hours. For our disaster recovery enabled systems, this is where we have the 15-minute RPO, where you get a little more flexibility in how frequently you can back up your systems. So you can also set up bandwidth throttles as well. So that's something if you want to control how much network is used during these backups. Right? So that's our agent-based approach. And then for our agentless protection, here, as I mentioned, we support VMware as well as Hyper-V. For VMware, we deploy a virtual appliance to your vSphere environment that communicates with vCenter. It goes out and discovers all of the virtual machines that vCenter tells us about. It comes back with a list of those virtual machines. And to protect any of the virtual machines, you simply hit Enable Backup. When you hit Enable Backup, the selected machines will show up on your Systems tab as being protected. So if I go back here, you could scroll down and you see that these are our virtual machines that are being protected. These are our VMware virtual machines that are being protected.
Now, Keith, in this view, can you sort of filter by the virtual machines versus the physical machines, or agent-based versus non-agent-based, or does it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If you want to only just focus on the agent-based, you can click on agent-based, and then the list will be filtered by that. So like if you have a large environment, and likewise agent-less. If you have agent-less systems, you can do here. And so one single user, talk about ease of use, one single user interface, whether you're using backup as a service. And when we talk about backup as a service, this is backing up data from on-prem into the cloud. And when you need it, you can pull it back down. Or disaster recovery as a service, where you're backing up your servers to the cloud. You're able to spin them up in the cloud, as well as connect to the cloud while you're recovering your on-prem environment. And then you can fail back those systems back to your on-prem environment. So let's get to the enabling of disaster recovery. So when you subscribe to disaster recovery, we provision a virtual data center for you in our cloud. You get a VPN server, IP network, a firewall, and then we provision it with the desired or the required amount of compute so that you can spin your servers up in the cloud. If I simply wanted to enable disaster recovery, I simply hit enable disaster recovery. I specify how much RAM I want the system to have when I boot it up in the cloud. I optionally specify any licenses that are running on that system, and then I simply hit save. When I hit save, the indicator goes from enable disaster recovery to indicating that it is enabled for disaster recovery. Now, when I look at a system that is enabled for disaster recovery, very similar to the other system that was only backup as a service protected, if you will. This one, as you can see, the schedule is 20 on schedule is 20 every 24 hours if you want. You can go as frequently as every 6 hours, every hour, or every 15 minutes. And so this is our 15-minute RPO from on-prem directly to the cloud, no additional on-prem hardware required. And as you can see, this system here, this is the one that's kind of being backed up every 15 minutes. So it is probably in the process of, or about to kick off a backup right now. And you can always ad hoc start a backup anytime you want. Yeah. And then from a disaster recovery, any system that is disaster recovery protected, you simply click here on the disaster recovery tab, and this lists all of the systems that are disaster recovery protected. If you want to, one thing that we do is we periodically boot up the systems and allow you to and take a screenshot of the login screen to kind of give you that extra confidence that we can indeed boot up that system should you need it. Likewise here with this Windows system. If I wanted to activate this system, it's as simple as clicking the activate button. You select your recovery point. As you can see, these are approximately every 15 minutes. So we have the 15-minute RPO. So I can go use the most current, or I can go back 15, 30 minutes, click this one, and simply hit activate. And then it'll begin to boot this system up. It takes about, the RTO is about the time it takes for the Windows operating system to boot up. And so as that's booting up, it takes a few minutes, but these are some of the, once you connect to the cloud, once you spin up your systems in the cloud, you want to be able to connect to them. So here we give you a couple options, point to site. So imagine going to your coffee shop, connecting via virtual private network as a way to connect to the network in the virtual data center that we have spun up for you. Also, we have site-to-site connectivity. This allows you to connect your on-prem network to the network that's running in the virtual data center that we've provisioned for you. And this is a good situation where should maybe not all of your environment go down, maybe one or two servers go down, you can spin those virtual instances of those up in the cloud, and so that your systems that are still running on-prem, they can communicate with the recovered systems in the cloud via this site-to-site VPN. We often call that IP takeover, because those systems that are running in the cloud can actually use the IP address of the systems that have failed on-prem. Mm-hmm. Yep. And so just a few other things about the solution. Very simple. We want to give you all the information that you need. These are volumes. These are logical containers where your data is stored. They all have they can have their own retention policy. So keep the data as long as, or as short time frame as you need. Usage, we give you some charting of the usage, so you can take a look at the peaks and valleys over time of your storage usage. You can go back in time as far back to kind of see where usage starts to peak, or where usage starts to fall off, depending on the retention policy. And then, of course, reporting. Every day we send you an email, a daily digest, we call it, an email. In the body of the email, it contains a list of all the systems that you're protecting, the state and status of those backups that happened last night, how long they took, how much data was actually transferred to the cloud. After an initial full backup, we only transmit the incremental backups, or the incremental changes. And so therefore you have that. And then, of course, we have user management capability, where you could give certain users certain capability. If you want a user to have full administrative rights, they can do that. If you want a user just to be able to log in and just do a restore, you have that capability as well. So if I go back to our disaster recovery page, as you can see, the system that we hit activate on is now up and running. It has the amount of gigabytes of RAM that we specified at the time we enabled backup. It has an IP address. We can establish a remote console connection. We can power it off, we can restart it. And another thing about the solution that we wanted to make as simple as possible, failback is just a push of a button. Once the disaster or the system on-prem has been resolved, you can use this image that's running in the cloud with all the changes that may have occurred while it was running in the cloud as your basis for recovering your on-prem environment. So that's our failback. And that's it. We wanted to definitely make sure that it was simple, easy to use. We wanted to make sure that we covered a wide array of systems, Windows, Linux, Mac, physical and virtual machines, all in a hosted browser that you can access from just about anywhere.
So, hey, we've been speaking with Keith Summers. Keith is Senior Product Manager with Arcserve, giving us this tour of Cloud Direct. We really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, David. It was a pleasure.
All right. Thanks again. And thanks for watching. Check out our other videos at truthandit.com.